Hello everybody, this is Chris Bird or MonkeyDude1313, and this is a master set of XY BREAKpoint from back in 2016, almost 10 years ago. Two quick things to go over first. Our last video, Master Set Monday for Prismatic Evolution, just went crazy. So if you guys are interested and you haven't seen that master set yet, please go check it out. All the Pokeballs, all the Master Balls, all the Evolution SIRs, everything. Plus, we compare and contrast all of the SIRs that got reprinted in Prismatic Evolution from the older set SIR. So it's really fun to see the two arts side by side. Second thing, this binder will be fun to go through when we get to the appropriate point in BREAKpoint. So one final thing before we get into the binder is I wanted to give a thank you to Ricky from Oyama's Trading for the shout out in his recent vendor POV video. It was really nice to meet him, although we've known each other for 13 years and then just got disconnected for 13 years. So it was very interesting seeing him again and making that connection again after all this time. So without further ado, XY BREAKpoint. So like I said, back from 2016, some fantastic Meganiums in this set, or a singular Meganium in this set. And this was a set that featured break cards, and it featured some of the lesser known EX Pokemon in here. So people know Emboar as a starter, but people don't really care for Emboar. So giving him a card in this set is fairly interesting. Now the breaks, as I mentioned, a lot of people don't like the breaks, and part of that evidence is that it's very cheap. So if you want to collect all of the breaks, it's actually very affordable. You just drop down 30 or 40 bucks and you can get a full set of them, including the promos. But I thought breaks were a neat idea, and the way you would play with them in a game at the time was you would have Golduck already out, ready to go, and then you could break Golduck by putting the Golduck on top of him like this, and now this new ability, Hyper Transfer, would be added to the other abilities here, and he'd get an updated HP as well. So, very cool, very neat, not used very much as far as I know. I don't think the breaks really took off. From a collecting perspective, since the cards are sideways from how they're supposed to be, they take us back to the Legend halves from Gen 4 and 5 sets, where we have like Lugia, not Gen 4 and 5, sorry, the Heart Gold Soul Silver sets, which were the end of Gen 4, and those had like Lugia and Ho-Oh Legend, and you'd have to get two halves and put them next to each other. So this one has the same sideways binder question, which direction do you put them? And for us, we just follow the Pokeball on the back, but honestly, you can rotate it this way and put it in that way as well. It's not a big deal, it's just now you'll forever know that your card is upside down in the binder. Alright, so this set also featured Gyarados and Scizor very heavily, and part of that is the inspiration for this binder making an appearance in the video. But I'll pull out the Gyarados, take a quick little look at that. They made it red, so it's the shiny version. And then we pull out Mega Gyarados here. And I should mention that all of these cards we pulled ourselves. We pulled multiple cases back in the day, and very good. Very, very nice. Alright. Next flip, we got Palkia, Manaphy. The Manaphy full art in the set is gorgeous when we get there. Greninja and Greninja Break. This, I think, is one of the most popular of the breaks, which is saying something, as I think it caps out at like $12 or something. So, very cool card, very neat. I like the gaudy gold, but breaks are not in everyone's favorite cards. All right, moving right along. This set featured Espeon, and the Fates Collide featured Umbreon. So after those two sets were together, we were able to get both Espeon and Umbreon fancy cards. Got Luxray Breakup here, and let's keep on moving. This trash is starting to stink, so we'll move on over. All right, Trevenant Break, Garchomp Hollow, Darkrai EX. I think this Darkrai is a very cool card. Very iconic artwork in my opinion, meaning since I played around this time, basically whenever I see Darkrai, I think of this card. So even though there's some other really cool Darkrai cards out there, this is up there. All right, so you may have noticed that there's two missing things conveniently at the beginning of the Scizor section. That Freudian slip actually was perfect. At the beginning of the Steel section, these are Scizors. But worry not, we do have them. And so I thought we'd take a quick little aside into a special set aside that I did, where I went through our collection, all of our binders, and pulled out every Scizor we owned in English. So we'll take a quick flip through here, and we'll enjoy those Scizors. Huh? Bergmite. Bergmite? Bergmite. Bergmite. Where are my Scizors? Why are there so many Bergmite? That one's upside down. Is this whole thing really just Bergmites? Oh, well, that one's upside down too, but, well, awkward. I guess we don't get to look through all the Scizors. Yeah, I'm just playing with you. We are going to get to look through all the Scizors here. So, let me actually move this breakpoint out of the way. All trolls aside, and let's go through our set of Scizors. So, we keep all of our cards in their sets. So, we don't really have a binder dedicated to any one given Pokemon, aside from my favorite Charizard, which has its own binder. So, I went through all the times Scizor was revealed or inserted into a set or a promo and threw it in here. So, without further ado, page number 1, and I've used some energies to kind of separate out the sections to make it a little bit more interesting. Let's move it over here so that the glare isn't too bad, but we start all the way back here with the first Scizor ever printed, first edition Neo Discovery Scizor. Love this art. Very, very cool. And our copy has a little swirl under there. Alright, I'm not going to pull all of these out because that would take a long time, but as you can tell, they had 4 printings of that same Scizor art. We had first edition holo and non-holo, and then unlimited holo and non-holo. Then there's this Dark Scizor from Neo Destiny. Wonderful card here. We don't have the first edition yet, and it's like $750 market value right now. So we're going to be waiting quite a while until we find someone with a nice copy before we can pick this up. Alright, moving quickly along, we have this promo from the Nintendo promo era, a Black Star promo number 33. Lovely card. And there's actually a winner version of Rocket's Scizor that we don't have. Next up in Aquapolis, H21. Really love the art on this guy. People are hit or miss on the arts from Aquapolis and Skyridge, but I think generally they're quite amazing. Alright, so these steel energies both come from Neo Genesis, which is the first set of Gen 2, but Scizor didn't appear until the second set of Gen 2, Neo Discovery. So that's fun. Alright, page number 2. This is where all the Gen 4 happens. And I apologize for the glare. We'll fix that in a second. But we have, like, basically every other set from the Gen 4 era featured a Scizor. And most of them were non-holos with a reverse copy. And this was actually the first, and I think last time, that Scizor actually got a grass-type card representing its bug typing rather than its steel typing. Everyone thinks of Scizor as steel, so they put it in steel. He's like the quintessential definition of steel Pokemon for some people. In Undaunted, it got a nice holo here, and it also got a reverse holo, and it also got a Scizor Prime. Beautiful card. Absolutely love this. Very menacing, very cool. Then we jump all the way to Boundaries Crossed in the Black-White era, where he got this holo and a reverse. That reverse is actually one of the 3 cards we need to finish Boundaries Crossed Master Set. So, that's fun. Down here is the reason we pulled out the Scizors to begin with, to fill in those slots, so we will return to those at the end. Alright, Celestial Storm Scizors, and then a reprint of the Celestial Storm Scizor, but in shiny. So let me pull those out, we can take a look. Very cool. Alright, then we went through a few more sets with holo reverse, non-holo reverse, and then Scizor V and VMAX from Darkness Ablaze. These cards, very, very cool to me. Alright, then down here, under the glare, is Crown Zenith, and then Obsidian Flames, where he got his illustration rare. Very cool. And then, all alone on the last page, is Scizor EX and Scizor EX Full Art from Temporal Forces. So, I'll bring those guys up there. Very neat indeed. Alright, so, the Scizors that we even came into this binder for are back here. First up, the Scizor EX from BREAKpoint. Very cool card, and it was included in this set partially because it had a Mega Form that was relatively new at the time, and they wanted to make sure they featured it. Next up, Scizor EX Full Art, which went at the end of the set. Mega Scizor EX Half Art. Alright, and finally, the Mega Scizor EX Full Art. What a beautiful card. These Gen 6 EXs really pop to me, and I love it. Alright, so, let's move that Scizor Binder out of the way, and we return to our regularly scheduled BREAKpoint master set. So hopefully the framing is correct there. We move these full arts to the side to put in later, and we can insert these half arts back into their rightful place in the binder. All right, what a nice 5-minute aside. Let's continue. Fairies still existed at this point. Fairies only existed for Gen 6 and 7, I believe, and then fairies vanished with the wind. Eradicate Break, Ho-Oh EX, very cool full art I'm excited to get to. And then we're in the trainers. And this is the first of the grand reveals, where we get to see 4 full arts. Full arts in this era were very important because there weren't so many crazy shiny stuff at the end of sets, so each of the full arts in the set are still very valuable. So again, we see the shiny Gyarados full art. This card looks fantastic. The golden outline is wonderful, and if you're a Gyarados fan, you definitely need to find this guy. Moving on, we have Mega Gyarados EX full art, another wonderful card art, and the way that they decided to frame him in this picture is very good, because if you get to see a side profile of him, he looks very squatty and fat, and so this actually looks quite a bit better than just seeing the full length of him. Alright, as I mentioned before, the Manaphy from this set is gorgeous. Very simple art. But it really tells so much about the Pokemon. Plus, they played with how thick of a gold border they wanted to put on this card. As you'll notice, most of the other EXs have a very thin gold border, but on this card they gave it quite thick. Very nice. Love it. And it's hard to show the texture, but got some really nice texture there. Alright, moving on. Espeon EX. Another gorgeous card. The colors are fantastic. And then this little kind of psychic-y pattern up here is very reminiscent to me of older backgrounds from vintage holos. And so it's really cool to see a relatively simplistic background there. But then you start to look at the textures, and the textures really make it pop. Love the textures on this guy. Alright, so these sets have a surprisingly small number of hits in them. So this next flip is actually the grandest reveal, and it's also only 6 of them. So we'll start with the Darkrai EX. Fantastic card, although Darkrai is a fairly monopose Pokemon. Lovely, lovely. I really like the way the gold works in this one as well. The texture's great. Very cool card. Alright, next up, what goes here is the full art Scizor I showed earlier. Give it a little bit more time, give it a little bit more texture. Very cool. And that slides in there. And finally, the Mega Scizor EX. Nice. Absolutely love it. Alright, so Ho-Oh. I had mentioned this earlier, that the Ho-Oh in this set is gorgeous, and I think this is proof enough. Don't really need to go into explain why. Texture is fantastic, as you can see there. All of these lines going towards a textureless circle up there, which is the sun. Very, very cool. And then we got the rainbow feathers, and of course it's triple type attack, which is a Ho-Oh staple since day one. Alright, this was early on in the Full Art Trainer's career. We got our very first Full Art Trainer N back in Noble Victories, I believe. And so Skyla, I think, was in the first 10 Full Art Trainers of all time. But fantastic card. Very cool. The more expensive version of the Skyla comes from Boundaries Crossed. And if I wasn't featuring Scizor in this video, I would have definitely brought that out. Finally, Gyarados EX. This card is fantastic. They did not often feature other Pokemon on full art cards like this, but having such a unique artwork that features both Greninja and Manaphy, who also happen to be in the set, is fantastic. And again, you have the really cool texture in the back there. Card is beautiful. Alright, so that is the main set of BREAKpoint. And to show you that we have all the reverses, we'll flip through those now. Alright, as I always say, there are no reverses of the EXs, so everything gets squished together, and that's why things might be in a different place than you would expect, given the main set. Some people like to put their reverses next to the base cards in the set, but that's not really how we roll. We like doing all the normal set together, and then we do all the reverses together afterwards. All right, so there's really not all that much else to say. Something I didn't mention before and was intending to was the Pokemon that got break versions often had some kind of gold energy in the non-break version as kind of like a build-up. So you get to see all of this gold coming off of the glinting of the teeth there, and Raticate had a break in this set. So, cool stuff. Very cool things that a lot of people might miss. Alright, that brings us to the end of the set. We have some amazing cards here, and I'll feature the Scizor Spirit Link as an honorable mention in our list of Scizors from earlier. Alright, so thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe so that you can be notified of when the next Master Set is coming out. On Wednesday, we are doing Wishlist Wednesday for Legendary Treasures, which we are missing very, very few cards from. And so if you want to hear about those cards, how we collected them, and which ones are still missing, stay tuned. That will come out on Wednesday. Thank you all for watching.